Hello everyone, welcome to a Genshin Impact Abyss 36-star clear TLDR. I'm too lazy to figure out all the details regarding the calculations of damage in this game, so I decided to do a small TLDR version of how to get 36 stars in the Abyss. This was done by me, so yeah, let's begin. So first things first, a little summary about Abyss Meta, and well, how do you actually get the 36 stars? Well, in order to do it, you may, the classic way, you may have come across a lot of information from different theory crafters on the internet, like how to explain the basic mechanics, how the reactions work, the calculations done, the billions and billions of spreadsheets that explain how each character does the damage that they do, how rotations work, which teams are very good, etc. And that is very confusing. And sometimes some people on the internet say, "Well, Shangling is too broken of a unit. Wow, oh my god!" And you know that you should not farm this set. You should be farming this one. And everything is just too confusing. So I made this video to pretty much summarize all of this. The information from theory crafters, such as from Sir Jeff, such as the Genshin scientist, or from the entire staff of Kaching mains, or even other other mains like discords that talk a lot about how to play this game. Pretty much all of them summarize into use this team play this way and do big damage. So yeah, I'm gonna try to explain it in as much as summarized as possible. Okay, so basic mechanics. There's multiple reactions that help you do more damage. The key is to combine them in a way that doesn't feel too overbearing. And obviously, in order to do big number, you may need to use these four reactions that I highlighted here. The first one being a reverse vaporize, the second one being electrocharge, swirl, and hyper bloom, specifically out of all the Dendro reactions. Obviously, the damage from all these different teams may not necessarily come from the big number itself, but the combination of the different characters and the synergies of all these units that helps you deal that damage. And of course, there's a lot of teams that you can try out, but more important than that, before you even try out a certain team or such, you should first of all focus on having enough ER, which is very important. Okay? So, yeah. Second, focus on your attack, elemental damage, and crit ratio. Of course, that's very important. And the idea is that you have around double the amount of crit damage in relation to your crit rate, so that actually makes it your damage more consistent and, well, in general, make the DPS of your team really good. But in some cases, full EM may be the type of build you may want to go for in certain characters and certain, well, in certain characters from certain teams. So yeah, which units are the must build units in the game in order to complete the Abyss? Well, there's quite a bunch of them, but I summarize it into all these 7 units: Shengling, Bennett, Shincho, Kuki Shinobu, Beidou, Official, and Sucrose. Now, most of these units are pretty much built with the ADC in mind, attack, damage, crit. But there are some exceptions like Cookie and Sucrose, which are built full EM. The idea is that you use the basic scaling of EM into Hyper Bloom. Well, I want to say basic, but like most of the damage from that reaction will come from purely EM, and building those characters is much easier than the rest. Of course, Sucrose may be a bit harder because you have to grind the set called I think it was the Animo set. Forgot the name. Viridescent Venereer, the Viridescent set, and getting 3 EM pieces from that set is maybe really hard. But once you get them, well, you might as well try out Sucrose. She's a pretty strong unit. This unit, the whole idea behind these 4 units is that they make up the basis of the really strong teams once you get a certain 5 star. If you so want to use that 5 star, but in reality, you don't need to use 5 star units. If you want to go for Dendro reaction, you can just use the Dendro main character, whether Dendro Lumine, Dendro Ether, and the damage may be just as good as with a Nahida, just not the same amount of application of Dendro. Obviously, Nahida's ideal; she's a pretty strong unit, so she's also part of the other list for 5 star units. Obviously, I didn't put must build or must pull units because I don't feel it's necessary for you to build the 5 star units. But if you so like them, well, there's a list of the best ones in my opinion. Nahida is top. She's super good. Yelan is really good. And Kazuha is also a really strong unit. He's purely build, but he may require some ER in order to build him. Maybe some Favonius weapons are very good um, on him and on Yelan. In some cases, maybe Nahida's just pretty good on Favonius Codex, but yeah. Some of these characters go by the rule of character builds go by the rule of ADC, attack damage crit. However, a lot of these characters have very specific builds. And for that, it's better to check Kaching Main's infographics for each or look up some guide. Obviously, I trust the Kaching Main's infographics more because they tend to focus on building characters in a more either free to play esque way or in a way that doesn't feel like, well, you're um, depending too much on a specific weapons and 5 star weapons because, well, the game is trying to make you pull or make you just waste your money into certain units. So might as well not do that, right? So yeah, if you don't have the money, if you're free to play, well, there are some units that are worth building, and there's others that are not worth building. Some of them are just for waifu and husbando reasons. Fine, pull them, but in case of the abyss, some of those units are not very good to use in the abyss. Obviously, I put some characters here that may not be necessarily the best, but they're pretty good if you have the conditions to pull for them, for example, or the conditions to use them. For example, with Nilo, you might as well get an Ahira in your team because you're gonna lack Dendro application for the Hydro that you're gonna be dealing in that team, and maybe Nahira is too much Dendro for you. There are some cases you can look it up. You can find out more, but this is a very small approach. All right. And tier lists of this game are not very accurate and don't agree with this order. Obviously, this is the order that I came up with. This is the 5 that I find the strongest in that order. But of course, you might as well. You might be a better at deciding this thing than me. So yeah, obviously I put Venti Ayakaganyu because they make some really strong Morgana cores that are basically focused on freeze teams. But yeah, I would not focus on them for now because lately abysses have not been very nice to freeze reactions, so I would not bother with these characters except for Ayagan Ganyu. We may get to that later. All right, these are examples of infographics that you may find on Kaching mains. You can just read them. They're pretty fast lecture, pretty fast read, and well, you may get the gist of how good they are. Too much information. Okay, when the gameplay. This is way too dank. Let's get to it. First team, Rational. Raiden, Xingqiu, Bennett, Shangling. The basis of this team is obviously Shangling, as the meme is clearly pointing out. Me and the boys thanking Shangling for carrying the team since 1.0. Yeah, that's extremely accurate because I've been using Shangling since pretty much since 1.1, since I started playing this game. She's a pretty strong unit. You should not underestimate the little chef. So yeah, let's show how you play the team, shall we? So of course, the first thing we should know is that Raiden gives a buff when you throw her E to all ultimate abilities. In this case, of elemental bursts. So you throw E first. You go Bennett, throw Q. You do an E if you want. Q E. Q from Shangling E. One important thing here that I'm gonna have to point out is that here Shangling is throwing the Pyronado inside the Bennett circle. This is very important you should always throw the burst inside of Bennett's circle, so you get the buff snapshot onto her tornado. You throw the E of Wova. You throw Wova to reduce pyro resistance to do more damage, and then you throw the ult of Raiden, and then you normal attack. In this case, I'm doing N3C, 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 N1C, which is 3 normal attacks charge and 1 normal attack charge. And then you repeat the rotation. The next team is called Hyperbloom. So Hyperbloom teams have a lot of variations, but the one that is the strongest is obviously the double Hydra one, the one that you're seeing right there. Obviously, there are more examples. There's the Hyperfridge teams that I did a gameplay last video where I pretty much did Hyperfridge Ayaka, where I was using an Ayaka with emblem set, replacing Xingqiu on that team because I wanted to use Xingqiu on the first half with Rational. Yeah. Or I think it was the other way around. I don't remember. The thing is, I use the I use Ayaka with a Hyper Bloom team. That's it. The whole idea behind this team is that you do the rotation with Nahida and you throw the E of Dendro, then you change into Xingqiu or Jilan. You do EQ, start throwing a lot of Hydro so you can create Dendro seeds or blooms, and then you throw the E of Cookie and you proc Hyper Blooms. And you go back to Nahida or to any other character. It could be Yelan, it could be Ayaka, it could be Ganyu, and then you normal attack to hell. To the point where you do a lot of Hyperbloom damage. You keep proccing all those Dendro Seeds, you keep Hyperblooming them, and you do big damage. So yeah, let's get to the gameplay and show you how to play the game. The team, sorry. Alright, so first things first, we go E. We hold the E of Nahida in this part. And then we change to Xingqiu, we do E, Q. Obviously, if you need to quit out of the animation of Xingqiu, you may want to jump or dash. We change it to Cookie, we throw a Q if you want, but most importantly the E. And then we normal attack with Nahida. You keep normal attacking until your Cookie's special ability runs out, and then you redo the rotation. EQ, EQ. And then we go back to Cookie and normal attack with Nahida. Alright, so finally, the other easy team to play is called Taser. This team is very underrated, but it's also really good. Pretty much the same thing. You EQ, EQ, EQ to all the time until your normal attack with Sucrose. So you play it pretty much the same way you play Hyperloom. It's just you focus more on doing Electric Charge and a lot of swirls. So let's show that. Ignore the YouTube chat screen. I made a mistake in OBS. We start the rotation with QE with Beidou, QE with Fischl, Xingqiu, and then we normal attack with Sucrose while we throw an ult. This is pretty much how they play the team. It's pretty self-explanatory. And then you redo the rotation like I'm doing right here. Alright, so that would be the presentation. Hopefully that pretty much summed up all the meta info on how to play how to get all these stars in the Abyss and how to make this game easier for you. Hopefully you like this video, and see you in the next video. Bye, YouTube.